All right, so if you've watched any anime, you've probably got this image of Japanese high school life burned into your brain, right? You're thinking perfect uniforms, super passionate after-school clubs, and of course, the legendary exam hell. But here's the big question. Is that what it's really like? Is it all cherry blossoms and dramatic rooftop confessions? Or is it a world built on something a lot more intense? Well, as you can probably guess, the reality is way more complex and honestly way more fascinating than the fantasy.
So that's what we're going to do today. We're pulling back the curtain, using a real first-hand account to get past all those stereotypes. We're going to uncover the hidden cultural engine that really shapes a student's life in Japan.
To really get our heads around this, we need to start with the three big pillars that make the whole Japanese school experience so incredibly unique.
So you've got the image we all know and love from pop culture on one side, and on the other, you've got this demanding reality of insane discipline. The truth of Japanese high school life lives in that huge gap right in between these two extremes.
The first two pillars are all about creating a group identity. Uniforms, for example, take away the daily what-to-wear drama and really focus your mind on just being a student, part of the collective. And then there's the fact that students clean their own school. It teaches this deep sense of shared responsibility. But it's that third pillar, the after-school club activities, where the intensity gets cranked up to a whole new level.
Now, we're not just talking about a casual hobby here. These clubs are basically training grounds for life. They teach you character and the strict senior-junior hierarchy known as senpai, kohai, and the time commitment, well, it's just staggering.
The person whose story we're following was in what's called a Kyouka-bu. You can think of it as an enhanced club. This means the school pours a ton of extra money and resources into it. In return, the expectations and the schedule are completely off the charts.
Just take a look at this schedule. It is wild. Morning practice is from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. That's before school even begins. Then, after a full day of classes, it's right back to practice for another 3.5 hours until 8:30 at night. Holidays? Nope. That's a 7-hour practice day. You get 1 day off a week. 1. There's just no time to breathe. So you'd think after all that, you just go home and collapse into bed, right? Well, for a lot of these students, the day is nowhere near finished. There's another whole layer to this grind.
And this is where we enter the world of Juku, or Cram School. See, in Japan, the high school you get into can literally determine which university you go to. And that, in turn, can decide your entire career. So the competition is absolutely fierce, and it starts really, really early.
This timeline just lays out the relentless pace. You finish club practice at 8:30 p.m., and many students, like our storyteller, go straight to Cram School to study from 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. The day begins at dawn and doesn't end until late into the night. It's just non-stop.
This whole thing creates this kind of bizarre two-tiered learning system. At Juku, students are tackling advanced problems before they even taught in school. So by the time they get to the regular classes, it's not new information. It's just fukushu, or review. It means kids who go to Juku are basically learning everything twice, which gives them a massive, massive leg up.
So what's the vibe inside these cram schools? Well, it's perfectly described by this term, sesata kuma. It's this amazing mix of being friends and fierce rivals all at once, where everyone is pushing each other to get better. If you need a picture, just think of Naruto and Sasuke. They're comrades for sure, but they're also each other's greatest motivation. That's the feeling.
But, as you can probably guess, a system this competitive and intense has some pretty serious side effects. It creates a very clear divide within the student population. It really boils down to two major social problems. The first is keizai kakusa, or economic disparity. Juku is expensive, so right away, access depends on how much money your family has, and this feeds directly into the second problem, gakureki complex. This is basically a deep-seated inferiority complex about your academic background. If you can't afford that extra help, it's a huge source of stress and anxiety.
Okay, but despite all this insane pressure, or maybe, because of it, this system actually forges some incredibly powerful skills and habits that stick with you for your entire life.
When you're juggling all this, you can't help but develop 3 key abilities. First is instant focus, the skill to just flip a switch in your brain and go from the badminton court to a tough math problem. Second is sustained endurance, a concept they call gaman in Japan, which is just that raw power to persevere. And finally, you learn voluntary discipline, because in that kind of group culture, you know that if you slack off, you're letting everybody down.
This whole philosophy of endurance is captured perfectly in a classic Japanese proverb.
Dripping water hollows out stone. It's not about one huge, massive effort. It's about the power of small, persistent, relentless strips of effort over a long period of time. That's the heart of Gaiman, and it's a lesson that gets learned deep down during these years.
So here's the real kicker. The argument is that this entire experience, the group responsibility, the shared hardship, the constant push, is what builds the very foundation of Japanese society. It's where that culture of collective thinking and deep consideration for other people really comes from.
So in the end, it's not just about winning games or passing tests. You can look at the whole Japanese high school experience as a powerful cultural machine, one that's designed to forge a very specific kind of person, someone who's disciplined, resilient, and always thinking of the group.
So, after peeling back all those layers and getting past the anime fantasy, what part of this reality was the most surprising to you? Was it the absolutely grueling schedules, the whole shadow school system, or the idea that it all builds toward a specific set of cultural values? Let us know what you think.